So we're here at lesson number 5, finally, the end of our unit. And in this lesson, we're going to be focusing on applying information from the text. And we're going to watch a video clip. So we're going to watch this video clip of fan behavior. And let's see what you think when we come back.
When it comes to like sports psychology, there's probably something related to marching band and swimming and a variety of other things, but like about being a fan, you know, you're part of the team.
You're part of the team.
You're not really part of the team in these professional sports. We're just sitting around watching sports.
But there's an identification,
right?
Though. Even though you are not physically there on the field, your support on some level feels important. Like if the team knows that you're in their corner and you're wearing your lucky jersey and you're pounding the beer that you drink when they win,
right?
On some level, you feel like you can influence it.
And that's funny because there's definitely like an evolutionary psychology to this, right? You know, there's a reason being a sports fan is ubiquitous across all of humanity. People are fans of things, and fan, by the way, is short for fanatic. So you can't, it's hard to be a casual fanatic. You're either a fan or you're not a fan.
Well, I feel like if you go all the way back through history, if you think about like early tribal societies, you have, you know, a person in charge, and you have like a band of people who who defend your tribe or who gather the food, and you support them. You want to make sure that they're healthy and that they're strong so that they can take care of you, or so that you can feel, as an extension, powerful. And I feel like there's something about that, except now that we live in a society where survival is not always
pegged to that kind of stuff.
And also just not on the forefront of our minds all the time. Then I think we've projected that onto sport of just feeling, I am part of the strongest blank in the world.
But then they lose, and it's not we're going to win anymore. It's
they lost. One thing that I find interesting is like when fans get really, really animated, they display something called disinhibition. They let go of the inhibitions, overdrink, go crazy, fight.
High-fiving everybody, people that don't even
just
know.
Like that.
You're the best person.
You're the best person. It's like a semi-positive mob until it becomes a bad mob.
And that comes to like here in the Bay Area after the previous world competition games. There were riots in the streets.
All that we are looking for as people, we're looking for fulfillment, we're looking for emotional and spiritual fulfillment, but what we really are looking for is a sense of community. I think sports offer the illusion of community and have the potential to offer real community.
So by the way, did you know that the word fan actually is an abbreviation, it's a kitzur for the word fanatic, fanati, okay? So I guess now it makes a lot of sense after watching the video. So now let's try to apply information from the text to a fan's behavior. But before we can apply information from the text, let's do a short summary or review of the main points of the text. Okay? So to summarize the main points of our texts, sports psychology, it isn't just a game, clues to avid rooting. The reasons that people are fans of a sports team are, it's exciting, זה מלהיב. It gives us a sense of belonging or community, כן? תחושה של שייכות וקהילה. The text also talked about the physiological changes, שינויים הפיזיולוגיים, קצב לב, עליות בטסטוסטרון למשל. And it also talked about the psychological effects, כן? ההשפעות הפסיכולוגיות של צפייה בקבוצות ספורט. And more specifically, they talked about boosting self-esteem, זה מחזק את הערכה העצמית, and it can also prevent depression. So these are the main reasons why people become sports fans. Not only why they become sports fans, but why they stay sports fans, okay? Because they get a lot out of cheering for a specific team. So let's read the following example of a fan. In our text, we're going to go back to paragraph 17 till 20. And we have the name of a sports fan. His name is Gene Ham. And I want you to think about what role did sports play in his life, כן? מה היה התפקיד של ספורט בחיים של אותו אוהד, של ג'ין ham? And I want you to just circle the words that are relevant to the role that sports plays in his life. Okay, was sports exciting for him? Did it give him a feeling of belonging? Did it have some sort of physical effect? Or did it have psychological effects? So, how do you apply information? איך אנחנו בעצם מיישמים אינפורמציה מתוך הטקסט? במקרה הזה לתוך דוגמה מסוימת. So you could read all of the paragraphs and then take a step back and try and think about the different aspects that were mentioned. That's one way. Another way is just to go sentence by sentence and to see what kind of information we can get from the sentences. So for example, in paragraph 17, we have here his emotions, of course, Gene Ham, who of course is an avid sports fan. He said his emotions were rising and falling with every pitch, every hit, every managerial decision. So his emotions were rising and falling with every pitch. Now, as you notice the word pitch, he is a baseball fan, כן? הוא מעריץ של קבוצת בייסבול, בארץ פחות פופולרי, בארצות הברית מאוד מאוד פופולרי. And of course we can say here his emotions were rising and falling. So it could be a physiological effect, it could be a psychological effect, and also we can see here excitement. Okay? In paragraph 18 we have a sentence. I actually feel myself sitting on the couch, managing the team. כן? הוא מרגיש שהוא מנהל את הקבוצה מהספה שלו. And of course here specifically we can sense a feeling of belonging. הוא שייך, הוא חלק מהקבוצה, הוא מנהל את הקבוצה, הוא מעורב בקבוצה. So here we can say of course feelings of belonging. In paragraph 19 we have a sentence. He said watching the Mets kept him from slipping into depression. So here clearly it kept him from slipping into depression. זה מנע ממנו להידרדר לדיכאון. אני בטוחה ששמתם לב שקראתם את כל הפסקאות שהוא בעצם נפצע בעבודה שלו ובגלל זה הוא רותק לבית שלו והצפייה במשחקים מילא לו איזשהו חלל. במקרה הזה זה גם מנע ממנו לשקוע בדיכאון. So of course this is a psychological effect. And also in paragraph 20 we have another sentence. It says here, I really wish they could have won last year. That would have made me feel so much better. So again here he's talking about the psychological effects. You know, he felt good watching the games, but he would have felt even better if his team would have won, okay? We all want our teams to win, maybe next year, okay? So now let's look at all of the learning strategies that we went through. We did pre-reading in this unit. We looked at the eye-catching features. We did scanning, סרקנו את הטקסט. כן, כל פעם שאנחנו מסתכלים על שמות, מספרים, אנחנו עושים סריקה של הטקסט, scanning. We looked at the relationship between cause and result, סיבה ותוצאה. Comparison and contrast, השוואה וניגוד. We looked at the connection between main ideas and examples. We looked at the components of research, המרכיבים של מחקר. We looked at the writer's opinion, okay, דעתו של הכותב. And finally we also applied information, לקחנו אינפורמציה מתוך הטקסט ויישמנו את זה על דוגמאות ספציפיות. ולכן תוכלו לצפות בכל הסרטונים הבאים שמפרטים קצת יותר על אסטרטגיית הלמידה שעשינו ביחידה הזאת.